Thank you. Thank you very much, Ron, for the opportunity to speak today. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Let me share my screen. Here we are. So as you can see, this is the view from our office in Trieste, where we are based in Europe, but we have offices in US as well as operating in Asia. Today, we're going to talk about hyper-accelerate drug development using simulation and AI. Let me start from three questions. Why we expose patients to experimental drugs before leveraging computational model? Why we accept inflated development cost when AI can reduce expenses by 50% in clinical trial? And why we tolerate extended timelines when technology can accelerate drug development by years? This element is very familiar with everyone developing drugs, where a lot of time, a lot of money is invested, especially in the clinical development, reducing the so-called market exclusivity period, sometimes to just few years, to be able to sell the product and to get some of the revenue needed for the covering of the expenses for the very expensive drug development done before. What we're doing is to work with companies and CROs to combine the traditional phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trial with simulation and AI to reduce time and cost in these phases that go up to 90% sometimes, when we see that the trial do not make sense to be executed, because from the efficacy point of view and from the safety point of view, you're not going to match what you're looking for, but also with the opportunity to go to market earlier, basically expanding the market exclusivity period of many years, and especially reaching the market before some potential competitors are creating a barrier for other leveraging the company-owned IP. This kind of approach is something that some years ago looks like science fiction or too futuristic, but there are some recent examples where the regulators are moving this direction. We had the FDA announcement some weeks ago, where they said that for the development of monoclonal antibodies, they want to phase out animal testing and use so-called new approach methodologies that are based on in vitro testing, in silico modeling, that is one of the most scalable approach for this kind of activity, and basically targeting the reduction of animal testing while improving drug development and drug safety. More recently, maybe you've seen the news, the FDA announced, and now they just released a couple of days ago, a technology called ELSA, that is an AI component that is going to be used inside the FDA to review the specific scientific submission and support FDA operators and reviewers with a very powerful tool that, of course, we will have to see how it's going to work, but in the idea of the regulator, and it's based on AWS technology, is going to support a lot the activity that are very burdensome and sometimes very long, while the AI promised to be quite more effective. At InSilicoTrials, we started to work in this direction some years ago. So we created a platform where we are combining AI and traditional models. People working in the simulation heard about terms like PKPD, PBPK, QSP, that are traditional pharmacometrics approaches that are now combined with AI, as well as data coming from our partners that are service provider, data provider, as well as hospitals and research centers worldwide, and of course, utilizing compute capacity coming from Microsoft Azure, using NVIDIA GPUs and AWS. The outcome of this kind of approach is cost reduction, time efficiency, reduce ethical concern, and to be able to explore very complex system, creating prediction and optimization of the trial before executing them. The way we're doing this is to create an ecosystem where we have on the left researchers that are now more than 70 worldwide, and they are university, research centers, and companies, more than 50 data providers, and following regulatory guidance from the US FDA as well as the EMA, we have created an environment where customers, let me say, that are pharma, biotech, and CROs can utilize our environment with a very relevant library of algorithm and models and data to create a very powerful experiment and very relevant simulation to accelerate and de-risk drug development. Thanks to this algorithm, we are able to cover non-clinical trial, clinical trial, and market simulation, making virtual animal experiment or early safety screening, working on clinical trial simulation, simulating special population that would be pediatric population as well as pregnant women, or to execute synthetic control arm, reducing a significant burden inside clinical trial phase 2, phase 3, where the control arm require a lot of enrollment, a lot of cost, a lot of time, while making this in a synthetic way can generate evidences that are accepted by regulators, but less expensive and also make the trial quite quicker. Also, from the market point of view, the simulation and AI can generate evidences to make formulation enhancement as well as generate payer justification and support label expansion. In terms of platform, we have generated different features. We have created different features. The first one is a integrated library of models, validated models and data that can be combined inside workflows that orchestrate this model to basically simulate clinical trial. We are able, thanks to generative AI, to create virtual patients starting from real-world evidence data or for existing databases of patients from clinical trial or retrospective activities. And the combination of these three elements are able to generate multi-level digital evidences that can be utilized to support internal decision-making as well as regulatory approval. When we talk about regulators, I think it's very important to mention that we are working with the FDA. They are one of our customers that is utilizing simulation that we have developed to simulate the CMC part of the tablet simulation. And this is creating a lot of advantages for them once they have to review a submission in the CMC component. Other customer we have that we can mention in terms of proven case study are a company like Axoltis Pharma, who is a French biotech that have been able to work with us on a phase 1 trial and receive recently from the French authority the opportunity to proceed with a phase 2 trial, saving about 98% compared to the traditional approach that would have required 3 years of activity and 30 million of investment. Or other company we work with was Merck, that on multiple sclerosis was able in just 1 day of simulation to get results on 3,000 virtual patients that was simulated. And this would have required, in the traditional approach, something like 4 years of trial and 20 million of investment. So we've been able to create a time saving higher than 96%. Or Telomere, who is a US biotech that's been able to execute the prediction of target engagement and pharmacokinetics based on a chemical structure of their products, saving more than 98% of time and around $50 million of investment. So these are proved case study where the advantage of the use of AI and simulation has generated for pharma companies an incredible advantage. Another example of engagement in this field is the creation of regulatory science. And we started to work some years ago with the FDA, 13 people from the FDA plus 130 researchers from university and industry like J&J, Boston Scientific, and Medtronic to create the good simulation practice. Since March 2024, this book has been published on Nature with more than 42,000 copies distributed. And using this QR code, you can download your free book that is giving the opportunity to understand how to develop simulation in a way that they are accepted, first of all, validated and then accepted by regulators to support submission. The platform we worked on, we can synthesize what it's doing is as a platform that guarantees secure and collaborative workspace where different kind of scientists, toxicologists, biologists, formulation scientists, and others like clinicians, also people that have not experience with technology, are able to use very complex tools to generate digital evidences to support their own drug development with the advantages in terms of time saving that I show you in the previous slides. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that I provide some insights and some elements that at least could start discussion, because the world is changing thanks to AI, and we want to be a very relevant partner for pharma companies and researchers applying this in their own R&D. Thank you.